So changing things on a page or doing something on a page in response to something happening is sort of the base for most of JavaScript in terms of interacting with people on your website. You want to make a website that's not just like a page that's static that people read. You want to make a website that people can interact with in interesting ways. And so the way that works is we respond to things that happen in the environment. A lot of those responses are to things that the user does. They might click on something, they might press a key, they might drag something, they might do all kinds of things. But there are also other events that we need to talk about. And so let's cover the events in JavaScript. First, let's talk about how to add an event listener. Okay, an event listener says we're going to pay attention to something that might happen to a particular element of the web page. Let's say a button or a link that gets clicked on. And then we want to do something when that thing gets clicked on. Okay, so first thing again, we're going to take a variable and we're going to assign part of the web page to that variable. So if we come back to my stuff here, my code, we have this link with the ID of my link. Now this link doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't really need to because we're going to use this for interactivity rather than navigation through the website. So what we want to do is we want to take this code and get rid of it. And what we want to do is we want to add a variable called link. So let link equal document get element by ID my link. Okay, so now that link is equal to this page element. Now if I want to, I can, just like I changed this text, I could change this text, but that's not what we're going to do. We're going to actually use this link to change the text in the heading by creating an event listener. So now that we've identified that link and added it to a variable, we will add a listener to that link that allows us to listen to that. So adding an event listener, what that has is a few parts, but the first part is adding the event listener. So we're going to say link.add event listener, and then we're going to say what kind of event we're listening for. In this case, it's a string, or in all cases, it's a string, but we're going to listen for a click. So when that link is clicked on, we're going to do something. So the first part is, the first argument here is click. Then we have a comma, and then we have what's called an anonymous function. Don't worry about what this is right now or how it works or anything like that. Just know that in the second part here, we're going to add comma function, and in parentheses, we're going to put event. That allows us to access the event itself that happens, so that we're accessing the click itself as an event. And then we have curly braces, and at the very bottom, at the end, we have the closing curly brace and a closing parentheses. And the reason for that is we have to have an opening and a closing that match. So we have open parenthesis, then we have another open parenthesis, and this closing one matches. And then we have an open curly brace. So we have still this one open and this one open. What we have to have on the bottom is the closing ones. So it's like an envelope. Now, everything inside that is what's going to happen when we click that link. So whatever we want to happen when we click the link, we're going to put inside here. So let's do that now. So we're going to take link, add event listener, and we're listening for a click. That's all lowercase. And then when we click on that, we are going to have what's called an anonymous function. That's a function without a name that exists only as part of this event listener. So we're going to add an event listener. It's going to be on a click, and we're going to run this function on that listener. Now, what are we going to do when we click on the link? So we're going to take that heading and we're going to change the text of that heading. So let's go back and recreate the text or the code that we just looked at in the previous video for changing that heading. So the first thing I want to do is I want to now I'm going to use const here because it's not going to change during the life of this function. Const heading equals document get element by ID, my heading. Okay, so there's that. I have the heading, and now I want to change the text content. So heading text content equals this was clicked. Okay, so I'm going to change that. Every time this is clicked, it's going to create that variable, and then it's going to say we're going to change that text content to that. And then at that point, this variable or this constant actually goes away, because when that finishes, it lives only inside here, and then it goes away. Remember, if I create a variable inside curly braces, it only lives inside those curly braces. So heading literally gets created, gets used, goes away really quickly. So let's take a look at that page. So I've got my link, and when I click that link, then it changes the text. Now, the only way to change the text back is to reload the page, and then every time I click it, it gets changed. But that is a basic event listener.